And we'll start. Welcome back to the part 2 of the winding up class. Just to recap to the first part, important sections. 271, grounds of compulsory winding up. 272 deals with who can apply for compulsory winding up. And 273, the power of the tribunal while it gets the application, the petition of winding up. 285 is very important area, as I already told, is contributory, read with section 2 clause 26. 290 is the power of the company liquidator, powers and duties of company liquidator. Usually a question comes from that area. Now moving forward in the second part, what we'll deal with is with respect to the priority of payment of debts by liquidator. One of the very important area in the second part, which we have to study, especially a practical question can be asked, as to how the liquidator is going to settle the liabilities to the creditors and the workers, etc. As you know, the liquidator may not have the full money to settle all the debts, so that the law has given you the methodology of how you have to settle. The liquidator has to follow these two sections as a thumb rule, section 326 and 327. First, I will deal with section 327, which speaks about preferential payments. That means before settling any other liabilities, the liquidator has to settle section 326 liabilities, and which is called as the preferential payments. What are the preferential payments? One is the government due, taxes cessed owing to the government. Second one is the workers due. Workers due has its own list: salary, that is 4 months salary, holiday remuneration, PF pension fund, compensation under the Workmen's Compensation Act, gratuity, and that whole bunch is called as the workers due. After settling the workers due, the central government will take the investigation expenses incurred. So the first and last list is the government due, and in between is the workers due. That is the methodology. But usually, if section 326 only there, the workers will not get that much money. So that is why the law has invented a new section called section 326. And the heading of 326 speaks itself is overriding preferential payments. That means section 326 will overrule 327. Not only section 327 of the Companies Act, it will overrule any other law for the time being in force. So you have to study in the reverse angle. 326 is the parent law. So 327 is preferential payment, 326 is overriding preferential payments. That means it will override section 327, not only 327, any other law for the time being in force. Now coming to 326. What is 326? In 326, two main debts are being spelled. One is workers due and second one is secured creditors. And in between the ratio, workers due and secured creditors has to share the amount in a pari passu way. I will give a formula for you. You can work out. For example, workers due equal to A divided by A plus B commonly into C. C is the realizable value of the security. Now coming to creditors due, B divided by A plus B into commonly C. That is the available amount. So the available amount, the realizable value of the security which is in the hands of the liquidator will be given in a pari passu way to the workers and to the secured creditors. Say for example, if 1 lakh is the realizable value and 1 lakh is the workers due and 3 lakh is the creditors due. See what is the ratio between workers due and creditors due? 1 lakh and 3 lakh, totally 4 lakh, that means 25% and 75%. Likewise, the total available amount of 1 lakh will be split in that ratio, that is 25% and 75%. So that is the mechanism. Don't forget this formula. Workers due equal to A divided by A plus B commonly into C, and creditors due B divided by A plus B into commonly C. Here A is workers due, B is creditors due, and C is the realizable value of the securities. So this is the slide which speaks about how the liquidator has to settle the liabilities. Section 327 preferential payments, 326 overriding preferential payments. Now this slide speaks about the recovery of assets. In recovery of assets, there is some separate law which speaks about how to handle certain transactions, and that is very important for exam point of view and for practical point of view. Section 328 deals with fraudulent preference. What is a fraudulent preference? The company has preferred certain creditors over others. Maybe he or she may be the relative of the MD or directors. So that transaction will be categorized as fraudulent preference. Second one is section 329, which is transfers not in good faith. Anticipating winding up, the company or officers in default has transferred some assets of the company in not in good faith, in bad faith. Means, see, worth 5 crore rupees assets may be sold for penny amount of 1 lakh. So it is a transfer not in the good faith or not in the best interest of the company. Such transfers will be declared as void by the liquidator. Third category is section 332, which deals about floating charge. Anticipating winding up, huge loans have been fraudulently taken by the company and by the officers in default, and they had created floating charge over the assets of the company in bad intention. Such floating charges will be void in the eyes of the law, and that will be taken as void by the liquidator under section 332. And the fourth category, students, is 333, that is disclaimer of onerous property. What is a onerous property? Onerous property is a property which carries a burden, which is cumbersome, which is burden. The title is not clear, which requires some risky transactions. So, disclaimer of onerous property. Onerous property means burdensome properties. In short, LPSC, L for land, P for property, S for securities, and C for contracts. Don't forget, the onerous properties are categorized in the company side into 4 LPSC. What is the 4 category? L for land, P for properties, S for securities, maybe shares of not trading companies, and C unprofitable contracts, C for contract. So these type of contracts can be ignored by the liquidator with the leave of the Honorable Court or Tribunal, and can be declared and disclaimed as onerous property. These 4 sections are very important when coming to handling the assets as far as liquidator is concerned. Don't forget section 328, 329, 332 and 333. Friends, these 2 slides, that is the previous slide, right, speaks about settling liabilities, and this slide speaks about handling assets. This 2 bunch is very important for exam point of view. Now some miscellaneous sections which is not that much important, but I would advise my students to read these sections and understand. Section 338 deals with liability where proper books of accounts are not kept. 345, books and papers of the company to be treated as evidence at the liquidation stage. 346, inspection of books and papers by creditors and contributors. 2Cs. 347, disposal of books and papers with the company which is under subject to liquidation. 352 is very important, you have to read that, which speaks about company liquidation, DUA. DUA means dividend and undistributed assets account. How will you deal with the dividends and undistributed assets which is left back by the liquidator? And ultimately here comes section 365, which deals about the final order of dissolution. Friends, this is the whole area which you have to study in the winding up. Don't forget, in this part 2, the main important area is 326 and 327, which speaks about overriding preferential payments and preferential payments. Then I told about how do you handling the assets of the company, which is very important, 328, 329, 332, 333. This slide itself, one question I will guarantee you, because usually institute focus on this area: fraudulent preference, transfers not in good faith, floating charge, and disclaimer of onerous property. And these are the miscellaneous areas which is not that much important, but you can just read. So before I conclude my second video, the list of first part and second part important sections are here in your screen. Section 271, the first part, grounds of winding up. Section 272, the who can apply for winding up. 272, which speaks about, the powers of the tribunal. 285 which speaks about the contributory. 290 which speaks about the power of the company liquidator. Then 326 is about fraudulent preferential payments. There is a typographical error. Next one is 327 which speaks about overriding preferential payments. Then 328, 329, 332, 333. So don't forget, first part sections are in 2s, that is 271, 272, 273, 285, 290, and second part is in 3s, 326, 327, 328, 329, 332, 333. So friends, this is overall video for winding up. Winding up is very, very, very lengthy, but if you can focus on the main sections and study it and interpret it and go to your revision test papers or to the private books, question and answers asked by the institute for the last 3 or 4 years, you will get good command over this winding up. Don't want to get afraid, or don't want to treat winding up as a headache. Don't forget my basic concepts about what is the difference between winding up and the IBC. Winding up is for compulsory winding up, IBC is for voluntary winding up. in IBC, the company may be solvent or may be insolvent. So this will go the magic. And stay healthy and stay wealthy. Take care of yourself. Thank you.